welcome to the Monday evening.
Love ball like I do after dark. It's a must-listen.
It's where I go to get my hoops fix.
This is Field of 68 after dark.
Hello, welcome in to the final. What's wrong with the open? Can I not just greet our audience, T.O.?
I loved how joyful that sounded because it's March, baby. I like it. Memphis wins their league, and John Martin turns into a different human being.
So nice now. No stress.
Yeah,
no stress at all.
Know, get a little bit more cheeks around the house. I mean, life is good in Memphis when the Tigers are winning, okay? That's just the way it goes. But I'm also joyful, fellas, because this is the final Sunday before Selection Sunday. A week from today, we're going to have the bracket, right? We're going to be making our travel plans. We're going to be making our brackets, and we're going to know exactly what the field looks like. We're just 7 days away. But we got to get through conference tournaments first. Regular season officially wrapped up earlier today in the Power Leagues. We'll get to all of that. Joined tonight by two ACC legends, Terrence Oglesby, Randolph Childress. And we'll, a little bit later in the show today, try to make the ACC great again. I know that's the idea with some of the hirings and firings. So we'll see if we can accomplish that a little bit later in the show. But let's start with probably the most meaningful game in the power structure in the regular season today, which was Michigan State. Michigan State continues their dominance in the Big Ten. You know, I know people kind of came into this one saying, well, what does Michigan State really have to play for? You know, everything's kind of locked up. Well, they showed you. They're just playing for each other at this point, T.O. And that was as dominant a win as you were going to see. And Michigan owed them one. But it was just a blowout from the start, T.O.
Just defensively crushed them. And it's pretty much been the same thing all year, 18 points off turnovers, forcing Michigan, who's struggled at times this season with point guard play, just beat them up. And those lead guards are dogs. You saw Holloman, how he brought the heat at the end. He never stops. And as much credit as some of these other guards have gotten, whether it's Fears, whether it's whoever else, like Holloman brings a certain tenacity and a certain edge to that team that mirrors exactly what Izzo's all about and what his best teams have been about. It's that toughness. It's the defensive presence. And, you know, Michigan, I kind of wonder, like, where do you go? Because you get dominated like that. What do you get from your guards in the Big Ten tournament? And then what do you get from in the NCAA tournament? I've said it from the beginning of the season. I think this Michigan team is really, really good. I think they can win some games in the NCAA tournament. They got to get more from their guards because Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf are good. Now, where do you get from the other guys? That's what scares me about that. But Michigan State, tough, and damn near psycho. And that's how Izzo loves them.
No question. And, you know, RC, I remember a year ago we were doing these shows and we were basically having to talk you into Michigan State being a real team. And you resisted accurately for the entirety of the year. And history, you were on the right side of history there. Obviously, this team is much different than a year ago, and they're absolutely rolling. I mean, every piece of Michigan State, you look at them, whether it's their wins in the Big Ten, whether it's their predictives, I mean, they check all the boxes. When you watch them, RC, what makes this Spartan team so good?
I think it's just, again, we've talked about this before with them. We know with Tom Izzo's team, you're going to defend. You're going to play with a level of toughness. You're going to rebound the basketball. This team is playing with better pace offensively, and their depth is a factor. They're not relying on one guy. It's been a different guy stepping up. Everybody's kind of doing their job, but that particular game, it may be a different guy that's kind of leading the ship, and that's what makes them unique. And then now Jace Richardson is starting to evolve into a dude, like a difference maker. He's starting to put together some consistency and being able to to be a consistent leader on the offensive end of the floor for them. So they don't have the typical NBA talent that they've had in years past, but he has depth. He has ability to score more than they have in the past. And I've said it before. We talked about this. When we saw them earlier in the year, man, this team was struggling to shoot the basketball again. And they seem to figure that out. Different guys are stepping up. The next guy, whoever's open, just taking open shots. They figured out a way, man. I did not see them winning the Big Ten the way they did. I mean, this game was irrelevant, and they still came out and handled business. So that shows you a lot about their team, the maturity level of that team. I think the Michigan State will do some damage in the tournament as well. They're a team I wouldn't want to see. I wouldn't want to play.
And I want to say something about what you just said. I picked Michigan State first, and I want handwritten apology letters by everybody who called me an idiot in August. Everybody called me an idiot in August. Now, albeit I picked it for the wrong reasons. I thought some guys were going to be able to step up. However, I picked them to win. And I want handwritten apologies in cursive, not fine print. I want them in cursive. And I want your best handwriting. You can send them on over here. Not you, Randolph. All those people that were hating on me from the beginning. I need apologies, and I need them nice, and I need them in cursive, handwritten.
Yeah. Who did everybody?
I'll put my address out here. I'll put my address out here in the streets.
We want them legible too. I want to be able to read your cursive. Don't give me the scribble stuff on the lines.
I don't want them. It needs to be fourth grade legible cursive.
You got to get a PO box, bro. If you're gonna give out some.
I'll put my address
man.
in the streets.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. But T.O., you kind of mentioned it, man. I mean, this Michigan team, they really had every reason to get up for this one. Not even just because they kind of got punched in the mouth at home by this Michigan State team, but they're trying to bolster everything before the tournament starts as well. And this game was basically over before it started. And now you're kind of looking back, right? We're looking back at this Michigan team and the best of what they did this year, right? We were talking about it, winning games by very slim margins, 3 points, 4 points. They were doing that all Big Ten. They were just kind of surviving. And now it's pointing the wrong way. So do you think this is more of what they are, a team that is fading down the stretch here?
I think it's two things. I think they caught Illinois on a really good night. That's one. Second time they're playing Maryland, who I don't think people realize how good Maryland is. Like Gillespie, all like the guys at Maryland they're tough. Willard's a hell of a coach. He's going to put them in the right spots. And then they played Michigan State. That's 3 of the top 20 teams, according to Kim Palm. Like you throw those things in there too. It's not just that they've been bad. They ran into a buzzsaw here at the end of the season. I think that more than anything is something that factors into it. But, it comes back to, it's the Golden Wolf, and they're going to be a nightmare to match up with. But when you play Michigan State, they're able to throw so many bodies, and they play with certain toughness about them that the guards have to be good. So you throw in those things, and when Michigan State hits 9 threes, I think the magic number for Michigan State's like 7. They hit 7, 8 threes. They're going to be not impossible to beat, but damn close. Yeah, but damn close.
That's not a crazy number either. I mean, 7 threes.
7, 8 threes. They're able to do that. They're they're 17th out of what? They're 17th out of 18 teams. No, excuse me. In shooting threes in the league. No, excuse me. 14th out of 18. Like they don't shoot it. And so you look in conference play anyway. So like they don't shoot it. If they shoot it well, that brings a different edge because they're able to get, pick up 6 points quick, fast, and in a hurry. And then you got to go down on the other end and score. So Izzo's got it rolling, and those dudes defend.
That's the only thing that's missing from them. That's the only thing that's missing from them, right? From a consistent, we can check the box. They're going to defend. They're going to rebound the basketball. They're going to compete. They got depth. The only knock you can have on Michigan State, you can go in with a question mark, is how efficient will they be from the 3-point line? Will you have to guard them? Or if someone just says, "Hey, I'm going to sit back in the zone and let you bomb away," but they're well coached and they're accustomed to being in those one possession dogfight games as well. So they're going to be fine. Like, I don't worry about it, but if they, like T.O. said, if they can get close to 10 threes in a game, they're going to be difficult to beat at that point. And so the question becomes, can they win that next game when they're, when they struggle from behind the 3-point line? And when I mean struggle, they've had some 3-point, 3 threes made in the game and that 3 for 20 type game. Can they limit that, get down? And they have the personnel to do that. But defensively, they have the mindset to do that as well. But how far they advance in the tournament is going to be predicated on how they survive that off shooting night from behind the 3-point line, if they have that.
You know what's crazy too is like they just control the glass completely.
Yes.
In conference play, like 36% of their misses they're grabbing. So even if they shoot it like crap,
and that
they're going
helps
to get
them.
it.
That's why, to your point, I agree with you when you said about they don't have to have a high number of threes, because when the shot goes up, they're crashing the glass. I mean, both sides. So they're going to give themselves opportunity, and then they're going to, they do a really good job of limiting you from getting multiple, offensive rebounds and shot attempts as well. So, I told y'all that's my favorite. I'm a big Tom Izzo fan. I'm glad he had the year that they had, because let's be honest too, there was something to start to wonder about it. Had he lost his fastball? Was it time for a change? The running joke was they play football, basketball, like it wasn't. And then this year, it's easier to watch. It's funner to watch. They're playing a little bit better on the offensive end of the floor. So I'm happy for Tom Izzo.
RC, I'm going to come right back to you on the other side here, because Vlad Golden, had one of his best games at Michigan today. 29 points, 9 of 12 from the floor. How much of an indictment, though, is it that Vlad goes off that way and they still lose by 17? And I'm really talking about the guard play. That's got to be
it's been that's been the Achilles heel all year, man. This is year one, and you piece this roster together knowing that was a concern. You're going to play with a Wolf primarily as your point guard in the half court and take advantage of what that brings. The problem becomes is you need somebody to consistently knock down shots when that's the case. And I think that's one thing that they have to figure out a way to get these guys. I don't care about traditional having necessarily a point guard. The backcourt, the guards just got to make shots. They got to make the shots, open the floor up. They're going to get those opportunities. They're going to get the ball. Hell, Wolf's looking over top of the defense. There's not many 7-foot half-court point guards, and then if not, they're throwing it into Vlad, and he's playing it inside out. So can they gain some confidence and knock down some shots to determine whether they get out of the first round or second round? We just don't know. This team is they're leaking oil, coming across the finish line here. We'll see if they can figure it out.
Israeli Hito, he needs help. Israeli Hito Turkoglu needs help. Yeah. Like if he's going to be spraying his ball around and finding all these shooters, somebody's got to knock down shots.
I had to let that one land. Okay, now
I let you go. I started to say something about Tio about that. Considering I'm like, you were the one that said he was, he was Turkoglu.
I see what he means, though. I get it. I get exactly what he's talking about, though. The games are, comparable. Even if he's not quite
the thing is so for people who don't know, the running joke in the After Dark group chat is the fact that I said that Danny Wolf is Michigan Hito Turkoglu. Here's the thing. People automatically assume I'm talking about seasoned veteran, 10 years in the NBA Hito at his absolute best. It's not the case. When they both came in the league, it was big dudes who could handle the ball and pass it. That's what they do. And I think Danny's going to turn into a really good shooter. I think he's going to play in the NBA for a long time. There's just not that many 7-footers they can play, guys. Like if you go around watching NBA, and I've been privy to some bad 7-footers playing, like they can't play. So you put somebody in there, he reminds me a lot of him. I'm not saying he's going to have that kind of career, but kind of the same deal. But back to the original point, Michigan's got to have somebody to knock down shots. And they had some guys not even get shots off today, as far as that's concerned. That to me is scary. Like, where are you able to find guys that I'm not sure if it's a confidence thing. I don't know what it is. But 3 of 24 is not going to do it, especially when you play against Michigan State. You got to knock down shots.
The challenge for you the rest of the season is going to be to find a Mehmet Okur comparison. If we're just going to go with Turkish NBA guys, I need an Okur comparison from you. He's out there. I need you.
He's out there somewhere, and I'll find it. But
it might be the chef. It might be the chef there, or what my guy from Cincinnati, the footer there, Lockett. It might be him. Yeah, we got to find him. Yes. Real quick, one more thing from this game, fellas. There was a dust up there at the end. As you know, the tradition in Michigan State is you kiss the Spartan. That's what you do. You leave the floor, you kiss the Spartan. And a couple of Michigan players were standing there on the logo, not preventing that from happening, but just they were on the logo. were you offended by this, RC? Was this on purpose by Michigan?
I'm offended.
Yeah, I think it has nothing to do. It's a lot to do.
Michigan State was offended.
Yeah, because they were. I mean, but again, Mays even said this after the game. He didn't know that. And if you're not a Michigan State fan and you didn't know. No one else does that. You wouldn't have been privy or known that was going on. There was no reason for those players to know that those guys were going to come up and they were going to do that. And it was a free throw. It wasn't like they were trying to be disrespectful. Like, where else do you stand, in that situation? So, it's more of about rivalry. It's Michigan State, Michigan, and you just got your behind kicked and a little trash talking. I think it was more about that and a little frustration. But offended, no, I don't think anybody should be.
No, I didn't think it was a big deal. Nothing told me like, hey, I don't know any better than the head coach, Dusty May, going up to the podium afterwards. Like, I didn't know we couldn't stand at half court. My guys are shooting free throws. And it's his first year at the place. Like, there's a certain amount of – and I think Izzo walked over there and was like, hey, just so you know, like, to me – whatever. I understand Holloman probably because that's where I'm at with this. Like, it didn't mean to. Like, this was a genuinely thing. Like, some dude puffed his chest out because they were getting disrespected. The other guys were sitting at the bar not knowing what was going on. Like, that's basically what it looked like to me. Like, they didn't know what was happening. Some dude comes with his chest out, and obviously you're not going to back down. That's what it looked like to me. So, like,
Tio, it looks like you and I protecting Jeff Goodman or something when we're at the Final Four and somebody comes up to him and talking trash, and we just got to come around. Somebody.
No, that's not how that is. I turn my back and act like I don't know nobody.
Exactly. That's Judgment Day. That's Judgment Day.
You're like, I don't know that dude, Jeff. Jeff who?
Man, do what you got to do. Did either of you guys have senior day traditions? Did you guys do anything on your last, or was it just you got the recognition?
For me, I thought I had the best senior day ever. I felt as though it was the most memorable day of my college career was because I got my jersey retired on senior day. I didn't have to come back.
Oh, shit, wow. That's awesome.
So it was great.
They didn't waste a minute.
Good night, man. And Les Robinson was the coach, and actually it was NC State. He actually brought them back out, and they sat on the bench. It's like, damn, much respect. So I had that's my biggest.
Hey, that's a great story, RC. I got kicked out of my last game.
You got ejected on your last game?
Yeah, I got ejected my last game. Now, it was in the tournament, but I got ejected my last game.
Right.
And tried to call my coach a couple of times. Last time I ever talked to him, he hung up on me. Hadn't talked to him since. That's how good the culture was at Clemson when I was playing. Things have certainly changed.
You haven't talked to your coach since then?
No. And he ain't been to one wedding of any of the players that got married 15 years ago either. Not one.
Damn, man. I hate to hear that. That's Purnell?
Purnell.
Damn, bro. He got to fix that. He's got to. I mean, at this point, I guess Hayes in the barn, but
no, Hayes in the barn now. Enjoy that salary DePaul gave you to win 6 games a year.
Hey, you know what he's like. He's like, damn them kids, man. I'm gonna hear that. Damn them kids.
That's what he hit. Oliver Purnell, Michael Jordan, his own players.
Man, all right. Real quick before we get out of here, let's take a quick look at the Big Ten tournament. I think we've got a graphic of this. Obviously, it is set here. It'll start on the 12th with Minnesota Northwestern, Ohio State, Iowa, Rutgers, USC, Michigan State there on the one line. All right, RC, any thoughts on who's live? Maybe even from a bottom half of this bracket. What do we think for the Big Ten?
I think Illinois in the 7th seed is dangerous, right? I think they're a dangerous team. We've seen what they're capable of, and hopefully, they get healthy, no sickness and all that stuff. They're talent-wise, they could very well win this thing. So that's the biggest thing that jumps out to me, that a team that we thought was talented enough to win it at the beginning, they are a 7th seed, and I think that's a dangerous 7th seed there.
I look at Wisconsin. Leave this up real quick, Dagan. I like Wisconsin. If you look who they're going to have to play, I'm not worried about Minnesota or Northwestern. But then they play Mick Cronin's UCLA team, and they're another tough physical team too. But what does Wisconsin do really well? They get to the line. And not only do they get to the line, I think they're the best free throw shooting team in the country. Check that box. Love that. Second round, March 15th, or excuse me, third round for them, March 15th, probably play Michigan State, who also fouls a lot, who also plays a certain way. If I had to pick one team that starts on the second day, I would probably head Wisconsin's direction. I've been on that train for a while, man. They're fun to watch. John Tonje is a problem.
He is good.
Yeah. And that Wisconsin
What an exciting
game,
what an exciting tournament the Big Ten is this year. I'm not saying it. I've hated on the Big Ten for a solid 3 years now. 3 years straight. Hadn't let up. However, changed course this season. Zach Edey graduates. Not everybody's trying to play one way so they can defend Zach Edey. So you're starting to see some differing styles. I think the Big Ten is going to do well in the NCAA tournament for the first time in a long time. I think it's going to be a different type of ordeal this year.
Yeah.
I still only see one
I'm
team
on
out of the first, out of the second round. I think Michigan State, to me, I can easily see. I would, in my bracket, I find it hard to believe I wouldn't pencil them in the Sweet 16. I don't know if I can say that about it.
But the only thing I would come back with that is like Michigan is a matchup nightmare for teams that aren't used to playing against teams like that. And they haven't figured them out. So they're a curveball. Then you have Wisconsin, who has those guards that play fast. They can put up 100 points. They have the size. Like, you look at all those guys, Kevin Willard in Maryland. Like, I think it's a better league than
UCLA. UCLA is getting slept on, man.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
You just did it right there. You just took a nap on them right then and there.
I would like to take a nap right now because I was on the West Coast this morning. I'm sitting here talking to John Martin right now.
Hey, man, it could be a lot worse. You know what I mean?
That's a fact. It could be a lot worse. Actually, you know what? It couldn't be much better. How about that?
Yeah,
exactly. There you go. I like it. I like that, Theo.
You know, I'm here tonight with two gentlemen who are overworked and underpaid, and we're going to get into some of Saturday's action as well, and then we'll get into the ACC and whether or not NC State made the right decision. I'll get these guys to weigh in on whether or not the program's headed in the right direction with their move earlier today. You're watching Field of 68 After Dark. Back after this.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today. College basketball fans, are you ready to take your hoops game to a new level? Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just trying to win your March Madness office pool, Rhythm is here to give you the edge this season. With data-driven predictions for every single college basketball game left on the schedule, Rhythm helps you maximize your bets. And as March Madness kicks off, Rhythm's insights will help you spot those plucky Cinderellas that you know are going to shake up the NCAA tournament. But that's not all. When Selection Sunday rolls around, let Rhythm's AI-powered bracket generator do the heavy lifting for you. This is the same AI tool that performed 35% better than the average ESPN bracket last year. And here's the best part. Rhythm pairs perfectly with our Field of 68 expert analysis, giving you the 1-2 punch that you need for the rest of the college basketball season. So don't wait. Download Rhythm today and get ready to see college basketball and your betting results in a whole new light.
Welcome back, Field of 68 After Dark. Catch us on YouTube, catch us on X, catch us on Sirius XM College Sports Channel 84. I'm John Martin, joined tonight by Terrence Oglesby, Randolph Childress. Talked about the big game today. It was also a big game day yesterday. Lots of implications on Saturday for the tournament and for seeding. So, gentlemen, let's kind of work our way down the list. Got to start with what Alabama did. You know, a lot of people said this Alabama team is going the wrong way. A lot of people said this Alabama team is fading. They had lost 2 in a row, and they had gotten packed up at home by Florida on senior night. No question it was disappointing. But, T.O., they had to bounce back to give themselves a chance to stay on that one line, and they did just that. Mark Sears obviously hits the game winner there on the road at Auburn. What about this Alabama team?
I think it speaks a lot. I also say, hey, guys at Auburn, I know you won the SEC, and I know you went out after that game. You better start to find it again, because now you lose and you're going home. I saw the videos. That place looked incredible. The energy was amazing. I would have loved to have been there with you because it looked that much fun. However, you play against Texas A&M, you get beat. You come home, you have senior day, and Alabama gets you on the last second shot. You competed. It was tough. Alabama is Final Four good. However, it's time to kind of reconvene now. And you're going to have one game. You're going to have one game in the SEC tournament where you're going to be able to maybe get your feet wet. But at the same time, ooh, buddy, like, you're going to have to fix it in a hurry.
Well, luckily, Chad Baker-Mazar it happened in this game and not in the tournament again. We don't have to relive that. I'm not worried about it. These are two teams that could very well be in San Antonio. Neither of the three of us would be surprised if they're there. Game went down to the wire, overtime game. I mean, it was as good as advertised. So I'm still not concerned with Auburn, but I do get what T.O.'s saying. It's like, hey guys, let's dial in now. And it's hard because this team has been quickly, in November, we identified Auburn as it. Like, this is the best team in college basketball, and they have been all season long. So they've held up their part. You do worry about that, but the maturity level of this team, what they've been all year, we have way more sample size from Auburn's perspective of what they've been. I'm not worried about them, but I do think, hey, it's time to hit the reset button. They're one of those teams that I'd say they would probably benefit in the SEC tournament if they did go home early and got a chance to, if they can stay on the one line and then get some rest and kind of recoup and then get ready for the tournament, because I think they got bigger issues than worrying about trying to win an SEC championship.
Hey, Baker-Mazara, he gets that flagrant 2, gets ejected. I can't remember what it wasn't with you guys, but I was like, the thing that scares me is Baker-Mazara doing something really crazy in a close game that leads to a 6-point run at a terrible time. Well, this could be a blessing in disguise, the fact that this happened right now.
Right now.
Because now his ears are going to be perked up. I can't act a certain way. Like, now you have to be able to keep your composure, because your team's good enough to where it's like, hey, if he's there and he's that lightning rod but keeps it confined to a point to where he's helping his team as opposed to getting ejected, and coming from a guy who we talked about had been ejected before, so it's like nothing new to me, but like, make sure that he helps his team so much. That's what would worry me about Auburn in the NCAA tournament. If like there's a key juncture in a game and he flies off the handle a little bit, this happening in this one wakes him up a little bit to the potential repercussions and why he needs to be on the floor. So you look at all that. Dagan, I don't know if we have the bracket for the SEC or not, but I'm curious. Here we go. That's even better. Love.
Of course,
that.
we
Great
have
job
the
there.
bracket, T.O.
Absolutely, we do. But Ole Miss, look who they're going to play. They're going to play probably Arkansas or Ole Miss. Really tough team. You need to play good basketball. Like, I think you need to put it together. If you get sent home early, it needs to be after day one, because you go into the NCAA tournament losing 3 in a row, your confidence is wavering a little bit. That first round that they play on day 3, I feel like Auburn needs to generate some type of momentum and get back on track.
Yeah, RC, you bring up such a good point, man, about just the meanings of these conference tournaments. Like, if I'm one of the 4 seeds right now, even if I'm a Michigan State, like, why on earth do I want to play these games?
No,
like
no, it's not. It's not
no.
that you don't want to play them. It's not that you don't, but you don't, because it's so many games in so many days. Like, I don't think it'll affect Michigan State in a negative way, because they play 10 guys, right? They play so many guys that they're going to be able to. They would manage it a lot better. But everyone doesn't do that, right? Like, a lot of these teams are coming into this, 7 deep. Most teams have shrunk their rotation. So that's why I say that. And there's different expectations. Like, at Michigan State, they won the regular season. They don't care if they win it's Michigan State. There's national championship banners. They don't care if they win the SEC tournament. Certain schools.
Are we sure that's the case? Are we sure that's the case? They don't care if they win a Big Ten championship.
I think they'll go out and compete because that's in their nature. But what I'm saying is that's a national championship thing. Winning it is great. They won the regular season.
That's right. I mean,
Teams
that's
that
what
have
matters,
national
right? The regular
championships-
season.
No, so it depends on the league because in the ACC, you can win a regular season. You're not the ACC champ. It's who wins the tournament. So, like, it just depends that too. Like, freaking Roy Williams started this nonsense. Well, it's just a big old cocktail party where all the boosters and everything. No, Roy, you only say that because you've won a bunch. All these other teams, like, they're trying to win the ACC tournament because there's significant reward for doing just that. And not only that,
but is that really true? You
I
guys
think
don't
there
recognize
is.
Duke as the regular season champion. You don't.
That is
recognize them as
that is
ACC.
factually accurate. The ACC does not recognize the regular season champions. They only recognize the tournament champions.
That's crazy.
So last
That's
year,
crazy.
the ACC champion was NC State. You're playing all year for seeding.
Yes. And the tournament is where they.
But see, that alone tells you how stupid that is. NC State,
See,
but,
I
24.
To my point, I don't disagree with that. I'm only saying, like, if I'm Auburn, I agree with T.O. You struggled a little bit here lately. You got to get back to winning a game or two. But that they've benefited. They got the double bye. So so again, they win a game or two, they're already in the semis. Just one game,
Sure.
and they were already in the semis. So it's a little different. So their path.
Yeah.
So the benefit of having that double bye. The problem becomes when you start getting down. If you're in the 5th, the 6th, the 17th, when you're in that first row, that second, and you're in, how much energy are you going? But those teams don't have national championship expectations. I don't think anything realistically. I'm only speaking for like Alabama, Auburn, Florida, maybe even a Tennessee. Like, how many challenging of a run do you have? If particularly when you don't have a lot of depth, do you want to play a lot of that? Does it mean much to you? And some of that is on the kids. I know what the coaches want to do. I know what the school wants, but a lot of times you're just not as motivated for it. I mean, some of these kids are not, and then fatigue comes in. You just three games.
Those schools that you're mentioning, they're paying those kids $1 million. They better get motivated.
Everybody, no, I agree, but
Like,
we're
I don't know.
But if you can't help your resume, you can't help yourself.
10 schools that we talk about that we don't worry about. Some of these other ones we look at. I'm just speaking of the tournament. It's not. You got each school has, like, for some schools, if they look at that list, take away the SEC and take away those 4 teams that we just named. How much massive of a news it would be from those other programs to win the SEC championship? It would be like a team like I said, like NC State. You take away Duke, a typical year of North Carolina and Louisville. Everyone else, that's a celebratory thing, because like use Wake. Wake hadn't won the ACC tournament since 1996. So for them it is. I'm using ACC, like NC State won it a year ago. That's what's so special for them. It doesn't happen all the time with other schools. If it's Duke or it's Carolina, they're like, we hang natties in here. We ain't hanging no ACC championship in here. We want to win it, but that ain't what this is. Certain programs get to that point, and it is a great accomplishment to get that, because realistically, some of these teams, let's be honest, there's going to be 30 teams in this tournament. They have zero chance in hell of making it to San Antonio, let alone winning a national championship. So for some of those schools is what I'm saying. It's beneficial for them that they're winning their conference tournament. And now I'm not talking about the one big league. This is mainly the P4 thing. Getting into the tournament, right, is winning your conference tournament sometimes is a big step for that program, for everything else. It just doesn't happen enough. But for the ones that do it all the time, that has national championship expectations, is not always the best thing to play so many guys and play so many minutes in back-to-back games and then get ready for the NCAA.
Yeah, but John, you told us before this started that you reached into your daughter's piggy bank and grabbed $800 so you could go to the SEC tournament. Tell me when you go.
That's right.
Yeah, tell me when you go if Kentucky doesn't want to win that SEC championship or not.
Oh, they will. They will for sure. But like, to me, if I ran a conference, if you win the regular season, I'm giving you the chance to opt out. That's a reward. You don't have to play in the conference tournament if you don't want to.
Let me say this again. Kentucky's in a different space because it's under a new coach. So it's context to what I'm saying. I'm generalizing because where he is right now, that's the expectation. You fast forward this under this regime, that's not enough. Like it's cool now. You moved on from Cal. You've hit 1,000. Mark Pope's the guy. So yes, it would be awesome if Kentucky wins the SEC championship. All right, let's flip it. And let's go in another couple of years. Like if Cal was still there, you go back. Nobody cared if Cal did. They wanted postseason NCAA Final Fours, national championship expectations. That's all I'm saying. And when you're in a position right now with Kentucky, yeah, it's great you'd want to do it. But if you're Auburn, they've been close. It's like, man, we want to. They've been right there. They have the best.
They want a natty. That's what they want.
They want a natty. They don't care about no SEC championship. If I'm
want it all.
Florida, I want the big thing. I'm not worried about, that's what I'm saying. There's teams like that. That's a reality.
Agreed.
Like Duke right now. You think Duke gives a damn about the
Houston.
ACC championship right now? It'll be great for momentum, but not at the risk when they're limping across, with Malik Brown just getting back, they're getting guys healthy.
Right.
You still got the distraction of your coach leaving. They don't give a damn about, they would want to win. I'm not saying they know you don't want to do anything in the ACC tournament that's going to sacrifice you hanging the banner. You want that.
Any conference tournament.
Nobody's going into a game trying to intentionally lose. So I don't want what I'm saying taken out of context. That's different than, if Clemson wins the SEC championship, right? Clemson wins it. It's been since 1990 since they won the
Huge
ACC
for them.
championship.
Huge.
That's a massive thing. It's totally different.
Well, but we've never won the tournament. They won the regular season.
But you acknowledge it as no, you did. You did win it in 90. You won it when I committed to Wake, they won it. In 89-90, they won it in 90. Dale Davis, that was the last time they won it. You probably weren't even born then, T.O.
I was born in 88. I know Dale. Played golf with him.
Wow. They won it in 90.
I actually don't think they won it. I think they got to the championship game. I don't think they won it.
All right, well, we've got our production team on it. They're researching this as we speak. We'll have an answer later in the show, maybe in the afters. Real quick before we get to break, let's talk about the game in the ACC yesterday. Congratulations to North Carolina for not losing by 25, I guess. But Duke wins. Duke covers. I mean, there were national media saying like North Carolina, pushed them. I guess there was a moment there at the end of the first half, but that was really about it.
Hold on.
This Duke team.
Hold on. Lost to Virginia in the second round in 1990.
So not an ACC champ, according to you guys' regulations and rules.
Correct.
Which I think are dumb as shit, but that's how y'all do it in the ACC. So
that's how it's been.
So we have to honor tradition here. But T.O., this Duke team, this was the ticket to the tournament for the Tar Heels if they were going to be able to pull this off. And again, maybe had a chance there at the end of the first half, but once Duke turned it on there in the second, man, there was no looking back for the Blue Devils.
No, it was little brother kind of toying with little brother is what it looked like. Like, I'm going to let you hang around. We're going to have fun. Cooper Flag got a phantom foul on this when Drake Powell was guarding him. His forearm hit him in the upper chest, and all of a sudden we're going to call a third foul on Cooper. Ridiculous. We all know it was ridiculous. Randolph knows it was ridiculous. John Martin and his new beard knew it was ridiculous. It was the whole thing. Second half, Duke just felt like, hey, we're just going to shut this whole thing down. RJ's not going to get loose anymore. We're going to slow it and play at our tempo because that's where we're comfortable playing in the half court. We can't play when the game goes fast because we have that talent. But when we're in the half court, we can overwhelm you physically. And that's what's continued to happen. And Concanipple, I mean, it's not just Cooper on that team. Concanipple's as good as advertised, like really, really good. And, Carolina, we shall see. I don't know that. I think they're playing on the second day. They got to win probably 2-3 games to get back on it. Yeah, I think they have to. So they're going to have to win that first one against Notre Dame or Pitt, which has turned into a shoe-in. By the way, all-time collapse by Pitt. Alarming, really. So imagine one of those teams win. North Carolina has to win that game, has to. Then you have to beat Wake Forest on the second day, and then you have to beat Duke. You have to beat Duke. Like you have to make the championship game.
That's a lot there,
That's
T.O.
a lot. They're not getting there. That's what I'm saying. That's kind of what I'm getting at. They're not getting there.
Yeah.
Here's my bigger question.
Go ahead,
Here's my bigger question, RC. If they get an NIT invite, do they play?
That's
a couple years ago,
question.
they didn't play.
That's
a couple years ago, they didn't play. I think they need to play.
Right.
That's a fair question. Go back to that bracket again. Can you flash the bracket up again? My question with that is, I thought the team would benefit more of. I thought it was beneficial because remember it was a tiebreak. Wake, Carolina, and SMU. Wake was 6, and they won, and Carolina and SMU had lost their games, so Wake goes to 4. I thought the best opportunity to make it was for any of those three was to be in the 6 seed, because getting that next game, you were able to beat a tournament quality team in Louisville, or a 7 seed, or beating Louisville or beating Clemson, and then having an opportunity, if you make it to the finals, to beat of playing against Duke and having to beat Duke. I think up top, you just got to beat Duke. Like for Carolina and Wake, I don't know if it helps any one of the other of winning that game. Either one of them have any shot. They've got to beat Duke, and then they've got to go on. I just think if you had an opportunity like SMU, sitting in the 6th spot would have given you a better chance.
Great point.
Yeah, but we
From getting
T.O.
quality wins.
you and I both know that nobody's beating this Clemson team until at least the title game. I mean, we ain't worried about no North Carolina. We packed them up by 20.
I will say, hey, Louisville, that 2-3 game, if it gets to that, and you never know with the ACC tournament, but it gets that 2-3 game, that Louisville Clemson game is going to be a
It's going to be a great game.
It's going to be.
I think Clemson does it for the first time, bro. I think they are ACC champs for the first time. I love that team, man. They handle business, and they're grown men. They're grown ass men, and so we saw that against Duke. Like, push them around a little bit with the physicality. Again, not easy to do, but Clemson did it there in Littlejohn. So I think they do it. We'll see how motivated Duke is by the title game, but we know this Clemson team certainly will be. First time since 1939 that they would win a conference tournament. So
and they didn't win the ACC.
And it was not the ACC.
And it wasn't the ACC. It was. I think it was.
I don't know what it was.
SoCon.
This is SoCon.
Yeah, we were playing on peach baskets back then. All right.
Yeah, we were.
Lots more to come here. We're gonna touch on what happened, comings and goings in the ACC and the head coaching spots. Kevin Keatts makes a Final Four. He is fired the next year. Fellas, one of the things a former Memphis football coach told me that will always stick with me is that it is a short walk from the penthouse to the outhouse. And it's not the outhouse that Kevin Keatts is going to be living in, because he's owed that money.
Would he have a $7 million buyout?
Yeah. I mean, he's going to
That's Elvis's
make a lot of money
outhouse.
to do
He's got
nothing.
a golden toilet in that thing.
That is fact, right there in Graceland. But he is no longer going to be coaching at NC State. We'll talk about whether that was the right decision or not when we get back. Field of 68 after dark.
As teams are fighting to get off the bubble and into the field of 68, I got a beverage for you that's been off the bubble since day one. Dad Water. No bubbles, no fizz, just a smooth, refreshing canned cocktail unlike anything else on the market today. If you're tired of the same old beers and seltzers on game day, crack open something different. Dad Water is made with tequila, water, and natural flavors. Nothing artificial, no BS. It's 100 calories, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, gluten-free, so if you're on a diet like me, you're good to go. Dad Water is also an Indiana brand. College Hoops is in its DNA, and they want you to enjoy a great lineup of products all tournament long. Dad Water is the ultimate game time drink with no bubbles. It just drinks like water. Clean, smooth, refreshing, and without those burps. So take it from me, this is the easiest drinking adult beverage I've ever had. Dad Water is now available at Target, Total Wine and Liquor, and Meijer, as well as your favorite local liquor stores. Or you can order online at drinkdadwater.com. Dad Water, tequila, water, natural flavor.
Welcome back, Field of 68 After Dark, here on a Sunday, March 9th edition of the show. Remember, this is, you guys don't need a reminder, but this is the last Sunday show that we will have before Selection Sunday, before we know the brackets. So that's exciting, getting pumped, obviously, for the conference tournaments, and then next Sunday. But some housekeeping in college basketball that we need to touch on, fellas, and that's a move at NC State. Kevin Keatts, 1 year after going on that miraculous run, winning 5 games in 5 days, getting all the way to the Final Four, beating Duke along the way. Kevin Keatts has been fired at NC State, T.O. Listen, he was
Fired or
on
put in the
thin ice.
portal?
Yeah. However, they, we kind of PC it now. Mutually parted ways or whatever we call it these days. But he's not going to be back at NC State, and they're going to be looking for a new coach. Justified in your mind? Obviously, they're going to have to pay him because they agreed to the new contract after the after the Final Four appearance. What do you make of the decision here by NC State?
I want to preface everything I want to say by saying I love Kevin Keatts as a human. He's like one of my favorite guys. Every time I see him, it's like it's the best. He's just great guy. But here's my thing with NC State: if they don't go on a miraculous run and win 10 games in a row at the end of last season, they're 16-15 last year. They were pretty good in 23, but it was like 23-11. Before that, 11-21, 14. Like NC State has these dreams of grandeur, and they always have. And it is very visibly, and they're probably going to hate me for saying this, it's very visibly the third school around there. Public university, they got little brother syndrome.
Depends on the year.
Big. Depends on the year. However, the thing is Boo Corrigan has never made a big hire. He hadn't hired a football coach, hadn't hired a basketball coach. This would be his first big splash that he would be making at NC State. Do I think Keatts did a good job enough this year? I would say no. I don't think he did a good. I think the firing is justified. I think coming off the heels of a Final Four run where last year was overwhelmingly mediocre. I mean, they went 9-11 in the conference season, in the regular season, and then this year you make it all the way to the Final Four, and you're not able to gain some momentum. To me, if I were an AD, that would scare the hell out of me, because it's like we just made a Final Four, and we got some talent, we just didn't do anything with it. That would really scare me personally as an AD. So was it justified? He's won 20 games, 5-6 times in his tenure? Like NC State, like that's a program that's won a national championship. And I don't know how overly competitive that they've been relative to the dreams that institution has from a fan base perspective.
Yeah, go ahead, RC.
I'll say this. I think it was still 1 year too soon, only because, again, I know you can say they struggled and, rumors he was going to get fired coming into last year, but he did. Say what you want. They made the Final Four run. And we can't be dismissive that they made the tournament the year before as well. And to your point, Tio, that's part of it here. The expectations that they've had, the NC State, they want more, I guess. That's fair. But I think he's earned, after back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances, he earned the right for at least another year. Now, this tells me they got the guy that they want. They can say what they want. I don't know if, whoever, they identified someone, and that person has agreed, and this is my opinion, and I, no inside news or whatever, but I think they've identified their guy. That guy has agreed, and when that guy said, yes, I'll take the job, then it was easy to say, hey, you know what, we're moving on. And I think that's more what this is about than Keatts having the year, whether you think it is. Whoever the next, they may wait on the announcement, but there's no doubt in my mind the phone calls were already made. That person, either he's still coaching or whatever they're doing, has already behind the scenes had some conversation and acknowledgement that he's taking his job. And I think once they identified their guy, they're like, all right, we can move on. And had they not gotten this, whoever this person is, then I think Keatts would be the head coach again. And then, whatever happens. But because you're still talking about a guy getting fired after back-to-back. It's not just the Final Four. They were in the tournament the year before that, too. So,
sure.
So you're talking about back-to-back Final Fours. How he got there, the miraculous run, blah, blah, blah. Like, who cares? It's getting to the tournament. There's a lot of teams that would take that. And you're talking about in a league where how many teams in this league has been to back-to-back NCAA tournaments in the last, couple years? Like, how many teams outside of the Duke, Virginia? I mean, Carolina hasn't been in the last 5. They've been in, one out, whatever. So I just thought he deserved another year. But it tells me whoever that next coach is, he's already, in my opinion, agreed to take the job. That's why they were so willing to write him a $7 million check and move on. Because if not, then you could have fired him last year, for that matter.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing too. You look like a few years before that. Sorry, John, but they were 11-21 in 21, 22. They were better in 23, but like last season, they were right at 500 before that miracle run. And if Virginia decides to foul up 3, they don't make that run. And I know that's a lot of, whatever happens at ifs, ands, and buts. But at the same time, like it comes down to the point, like, is it better for the journey, or do you want that big bang at the end of the season? Do you want that 3 weeks at the end of the season? Because you have a basketball season for a school that loves hoop. NC State loves hoop. Are you going to be miserable for 4 months in order to be great for 3 weeks? Or do you want to be somewhat happy for the entire season? I mean, they'll always be, perpetually perturbed. But do you want to have a better season there? Uh-oh.
Yeah,
We're gonna see.
And I think the answer for them is they probably just want, consistency. More consistency is the goal there. And by the way, quick housekeeping.
By the way,
Kevin
Keatts too. So he got $7 million out of this. Like,
oh yeah, he's fine. I'm not gonna.
Kevin's fine.
Many tears for him.
Kevin's fine.
And he took care of his guys. And he took care of his guys.
I mean, but would we expect anything less? No, we wouldn't.
No, I mean, but
he's the best.
not from him, but he's a great guy. But yeah, he took care of his guys, so they should be taking. His assistants will have contracts too, and that's big in a situation like that because that's not always the case. A lot of coaches don't do that for their guys. So, I know Keatts is disappointed, but shout out to Keatts, man. For taking care of his guys.
Hell of an announcement he did too, that he was entering the transfer portal. Did you see that? I wasn't just saying that, but like,
no, he
put out a really,
it was in his post there. It wasn't a new deal. It was just I just want to clean that up. It wasn't like NC State and Kevin Keatts agreed to a new deal. It was just making the Final Four triggered the automatic extension. So, that would kind of explain why they were a little bit more willing to move off of him in year one or after, year one after the Final Four. And then as we are trying to sort of fix the ACC here and shore it up, Florida State has made a hire, T.O. That's Loucks coming over there from the NBA. What do we make of the hire here for the Seminoles?
From everything I've been told, rising star in the game, obviously. Was with the Warriors, now with the Kings, or was with the Kings after that. Kind of been considered a rising star in the profession. And as we all know, some of these things, it's copycat situations, right? So you see Kevin Young do a really nice job at BYU. They're like, oh man, eyebrows raised. We're going to go at this a different way because the game's being played a different way now. And when I say the game's being played a different play, not on the floor, off the floor. Very much an NBA structure. Pay your guys, have somebody else make sure they go to class. I'm just going to coach them. So bring an NBA guy down. They've seen guys have success with that early. He played there at Florida State. If nothing else, I'm really intrigued. Is he going to be able to come down there and recruit? Because that hasn't been the issue of BYU. BYU just got an infinite bank account. Florida State doesn't have an infinite bank account. So I'm sure it's going to be, jumped up, and they're going to talk about a lot of things, RC, because that's always what happens. New coach gets hired, NIL all of a sudden just starts appearing. But like at the same time, like you got to be able to figure those things out.
But that's what they're going to do, right? I mean, as we know this, it's say what you want. It's not going to be a magical appeal that like the next head coach, they're gonna find millions of dollars in NC State. It's gonna have NIL money, right? And then the same thing with Florida State. They're gonna have you hire these guys, and the new coach always gets NIL money, and that's just the reality of it. Every time someone gets hired, to get the new guy in there, you're offering him more than the previous guy. That's happened. That happens everywhere, and that's what's gonna happen with both of these guys. So I'm happy it's one of Leonard guys. I was worried about that. I thought they let one get away. I've been vocal about that. I thought Gates, even when he left Cleveland State, I thought they could have sped this process up a little bit, and I would have loved to have seen him get that job. But he's doing and should be doing well there. So teams are running it like an NBA guy. It's not it's not frowned upon anymore about the NBA guys now because this is what this is, and they're probably more equipped to dealing with it than some of the current college coaches, in my opinion.
Yeah, mostly because it's professional now, right? I mean, it's basically without the collective bargaining. But yeah, like you make a good point here, To. Like the new thing we're seeing, it's a trend, and we're seeing it is either a coach gets fired and a new one gets brought in, or an underperforming coach in the Power League gets brought back. To and they do so by saying we're going to give you more resources next year. That's like the new thing. We're going to bring you back after you had a losing, like Mike. I think about Mike Young at Virginia Tech, right? He's not the only one, but I'm using that as an example.
Who's a great coach? Who's a great coach?
Yeah,
that
and like, we're going to give you more NIL this year.
To compete. Yeah, but they visibly didn't have a roster to compete, and they lost their point guard before the season. So, like, there's context with all that. Point guard who was supposed to be really good gets trouble in that gambling investigation, transferring from Temple. So they realize they have a great coach. They got to give the man more money.
I respect that.
But you got to stop. You got to stop bullshitting if you're a Power 5 team.
We don't have a big enough package to be competitive at the level we're on. Stop. Wanting a coach to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. You want him to win. Give him money.
Those days are over.
He's already proven he can win.
Yeah.
He's already Mike Young's already proven he can win. Here's my question though: like, who does NC State go after?
I'm telling you, Tio. In my mind, I'm telling you, we can sit and start and guessing. If you pull this, you got to know who your guy is. He's already and we've been in some meetings and we've been around and hear some stuff. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind the next coach is already agreed.
Who do you think it is?
I would, if you're making me guess, I'd say it's the guy down in McNeese State.
Wow, Will Wade.
I would assume so too.
I think
that's the Power 5.
I'm not saying it's already done. I would assume he's going to be.
No. I'm not saying it's done. I just said it.
I mean, he makes sense.
Like, again, because we're around Jeff. We ain't breaking no news. ATO and I talk to Jeff. We don't know. There's no secret.
Yeah, we don't know. Jeff hasn't told us anything.
We don't know anything, right? But I think it's a job that he fit, and I think it would be a move. They're going to win their league. It'll be a guy who's been a high major guy that was around when NIL wasn't NIL. He gets this well. And the great thing about him too is he's matured a bunch, and he'll tell you that. Like, having a chance to see him when we did and talk to him, he owned up on a lot of his stuff, man. He's ready for another big time job. I think he'll do great. He's a heck of a coach, and if he gets it, so be it. Yeah. But he'll have his list of jobs. But I don't care who gets it. I don't believe they're sitting around interviewing guys.
All right, T.O., kick us off. We don't have much time. Toast of the night.
Michigan State, the entire team. I'm taking them from you guys. Michigan State, the entire team, what they were able to do on their home floor, kiss that Spartan and go home happy. Have a good showing at the Big Ten tournament. Cheers to them. I don't have anything to drink.
Yeah, I got water. I'm going to flip it again. I'm going Blair, George Mason women's team, punching their ticket, winning the A-10 today. Had a chance to meet her when she came in town, played the Deeks with my guy Skeets on the Dobo there. Congratulations to you guys. First time A-10 punching your ticket. Congratulations.
I like it, man. Well, listen, we have a lot more that we haven't touched on. We're going to get to that in the after. So make sure that you stick around. That's Terrence Oglesby. That's Randolph Childress. We'll see you in a second.
Now is your chance to prove you're smarter than the field of 68. We're hosting a Survivor contest with our partner Splash Sports. There's a $25 entry fee, a 25 entry max in the contest, and more than 1,700 spots available, which means there's a $40,000 max prize for the winner. Survivor is the future of March Madness. Each day you pick a team to win. If they win, you advance. We'll also be running a free to enter bracket contest as well as a second chance Survivor in the Sweet 16. So prove you know more ball than the field of 68 on Splash Sports. I want my home to feel like my home. So whether I'm looking for big furniture, just a small piece for my place, or maybe some storage solutions for the basement or the garage, the answer is Wayfair. Seriously, I needed a new patio set and fire pit for my backyard. I bought it on Wayfair. It looks great on our deck, and it gives me an excuse to fire up the smoker, invite some friends over, crack a couple beers. Just last week, I bought a new chair for my office, someplace comfortable to sit while the madness takes up the 4 screens in front of me. I got it on Wayfair, clicked a few buttons. A couple days later, it showed up at my front door. They even offered to help set it up for you. Digging through online stores can be intimidating. Trust me, I know. It can be hard to find what you're looking for in your price range, but not on Wayfair. They have great options, even if you are balling on a budget like me. Wayfair has every style for every home, including mine and yours. So head to wayfair.com and shop everything home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
We're live. It's the afters. Hit the chat.
I'm not getting close to any bear.
My career high on the court is 28.
Welcome back. This is the after tier on Field of 68. I'm John Martin, joined tonight by two good men, Terrence Oglesby, Randolph, Childress. There were some auto bids today, fellas, that we did not get a chance to mention there in the main show in the smaller leagues, as those tournaments are already underway, right? They got to beat on the power leagues and watched a lot of mid-major basketball today, as I'm sure all of you did. High Point punctuated their great season and got the win today. Lipscomb, Drake, Omaha. This High Point team, T.O., I don't know. It kind of does feel like when the tournament brackets are out, it feels like High Point, whatever region they're in, is going to be a popular upset pick, over the two or whatever it ends up being. Would you agree with them being a justified, trendy pick?
Yeah, because, you look up and down. DeMario Williams was at Texas Tech last year. Like, Bobby Pettifer played at Kansas. Bobby Pettifer was great today. So, High Point's resources. Oh, off the bench was great. High Point's resources in the Big South, it's not even close to the rest of the league. So, Huss realized that. He's put himself in a good position, 14-2 in league going into the tournament, and then they had guys just ball out against Winthrop. Did they have a huge win in the non-conference? I'm looking up and down. They beat UAB at home by 3. Can they win a game in the tournament? Yeah, they could be a trendy pick, but I said Adam Huss. I said Alan Huss. Excuse me.
Alan.
Sorry, fellow bald man. We have 2 on this show. Congratulating another one. No, they've got a team, and they score it, man. Top 30 in the country offensive efficiency.
My shit holding on tough, bro. I'm 34. My shit holding on tough, bro. And I'm not going to Turkey for none of that shit. This is all natural.
All that
you look like it's a lot of dye.
A lot of product.
Like hater.
I tell you that.
You won't brag
about it. It's a lot of dye.
Hey, that beard you got's got you looking like a Billy Goat anyway. I don't want any jokes about hair. Look at that thing.
This is an elite. This is an elite beard, man. All right.
You look like every cousin I have in Tennessee.
That's right. That's where I'm at, man. All right, I'm 10 toes down in Tennessee. I gotta send RC the picture of the time I really did dye my hair. You would really get a kick out of that shit. I'm gonna send it to you after the show is over, and we're not gonna post it on the broadcast, but I will send it to you when it's over. You'll really love it. You'll love it. All right. Also, another team that we need to touch on, Drake gets it done over Bradley, and they are dancing. RC, this Drake team is, you're happy that, the 1 seed that's been carrying and winning the league for the majority of the year gets the automatic. Sometimes that does not happen. What do you think from what you've seen of this Drake team, RC?
They've been good all year long. Everyone just hadn't seen it. They're well coached. They've been getting. They won. I saw them early in the year when they won the Charleston Classic. This team has been a real deal from the beginning, and Bennett Sturts can flat out shoot the ball, can flat out score it, and he was phenomenal today. Everything. He's the heartbeat of that team, but everyone plays their role. They control the pace of the game. He's been incredible for so much responsibility that he has, and credit to those guys, man. I actually thought Bradley had a chance to pull off the upset. I've had them earlier in the year. Bradley actually won the Myrtle Beach Invitational when Drake won the Charleston Classic. So that was a big start of the year. Both of those teams, I thought, I'm not surprised they played in the finals. My question would have been, had Bradley won, would Drake get an at-large bid? Would have been my thing. So if I'm a team in a bubble, I'm actually happy that Drake won, because had they lost, they would have probably been in the conversation and deserving of an at-large bid. And so that was one of them dangerous. Bless you. That's one of those dangerous bid stealing opportunities right there for a league that I thought, personally, I thought Drake had did enough to get in.
Yep, I agree with that. And if you haven't watched Ben McCullum coach, it's hilarious. He will find what beats you and run that play into the ground.
That's some NBA stuff. That's old. That's some old NBA stuff.
He'll find one play and he'll run it, and he'll score 6 times in a row. And there's no need to mix it up. He's running it back.
He gonna make you come out of the game, T.O. It's like you back in the day, you go in the game as a league, they gonna be like, hey,
Yep,
I got one. We gonna run this every time until you stop.
Unbelievable. And I did the Charleston Classic, or I didn't do the Charleston. I went to the Charleston Classic. I took my son down there and we watched Drake play, and it was like, it was academic how they attacked everybody they played with, a bunch of D2 guys. Like, incredible, really. And they're scary. I'm just telling you, because offensively they're awesome. They get to the free throw line, they board. They are a little smaller, sure, but like Sturtsy, man, gets it done. They're good.
Yeah, he's good.
Beat Vanderbilt. Beat Vanderbilt at the Charleston Classic.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to be a tournament team? Like, they've already handled business. So I think they would have gotten in regardless. A lot of people breathing a sigh of relief, the fact that they won their league.
No, I happy, because if you're one of them teams there's still a couple opportunities. We talked about that. I mean, you're worried about that. Was one of the at-large bids to win it. I mean, now you just worry about Memphis. I think VCU's done enough to get in. You worry about if another team wins the A-10, that bumps you off. So if you're one of these teams that are in the last 4 in, I'm monitoring that line tonight. I sleep a little better tonight knowing Drake won that league.
No doubt about it. All right, Dagan, do we have questions that have been rolling in tonight? What do we got?
We do have
I messed up my toast, by the way. Furman's back in the finals, baby. Bob Ritchie. Don't sleep on him.
You can do more than one toast.
I'll do another one later.
He's going against my guy, though. I don't know who to choose in that game. I love both of those guys, both staffs, and Wofford too. So
the campuses are 30 minutes apart.
Yeah,
the campuses are like 30 minutes apart. Like, so yeah,
that's awesome.
Cool. Anyway, go ahead, Dagan. I allow you to speak, Dagan Hughes.
Thank you, Theo. Thank you. Let's see here. Chris wants to know. We were talking, obviously, coaching talk. Who would you guys hire at Virginia? Let's keep fixing the ACC.
For me, it's Ryan Odom. That's my hire for UVA. I hand him a blank check if I'm going outside. I thought, and I will say this. Let me say this too. I know he's not going to get it, but I thought Sanchez, the second half of ACC season, really had Virginia playing really good basketball too, and they drastically improved. And again, I don't know if it's enough. That isn't my decision, but I think Ryan Odom will get a call.
I think it's going to be Ryan Odom. I think he kind of fits that whole. He just fits Virginia. That's a hard way to describe Virginia, and Randolph knows exactly what I mean when I say that. He fits Virginia to a T. It's amazing. I think he ends up getting the call. A guy that I'm a little surprised doesn't get love for other jobs, period, is Richie McKay at Liberty. Like, all that dude does is win. And he was an assistant at Virginia.
I think it hurts him. I think he hurt people. The style that Virginia played and the negativity, even from the NCAA tournament last year, I think he's a victim of that. Just like I think that's one of the reasons, in my opinion, why Jason Williford never got a head coaching job, is because I think people didn't respect the style of play that Virginia was winning with, and people didn't like that. It wasn't pretty.
I mean, there's certainly something to say for that, but I went and did a game and they grind you down, sure, but like, he's had a lot of success for a long time. Like, he's had a 30-win season in 1920. He had 27 wins a couple of years ago. This year he's 25-6. He's going to win.
He's just going to win. He's a dude. He's a
dude. He's a great coach. Like, I don't understand. Like, he loves Liberty. Obviously, this is his second stint there, but like, How is he not getting considered?
Does he love it enough, or did he never got an opportunity to get another major job? Is what I'm, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like
that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like he's a guy that has earned a shot if he wanted to go elsewhere to get another job at this point. But we talk about all these jobs all the time, and it's like, why isn't Richie McKay getting love? Like all he does is win. Isn't that the requirement? Like, what am I missing with him? Because whenever I went up there and did a game this year, like they beat Sam Houston State like it was nothing, and they made it look easy. And Sam Houston, even though they're not having a great year, like they had some talent on that squad. They took them out of everything they wanted to do, and they had two guards that measured like 5'5" and 5'7". And I'm being facetious, but at the same time, like he just wins. He wins all the time, and
Theo,
he's won
I'm gonna add
consistently. Why
another one
isn't
to
there
that.
more?
I'm gonna add another guy to that list of it's. How about John Becker up in Vermont?
He loves Vermont. He loves it up there.
No. He loves it. But I can tell you from somebody when I had their conference championship game last year, he would leave, but there's no one write him a check, and I don't get why he's a guy like he's not. He loves it because what else is he going to say or do? But nobody for the amount of success that he has had. I'm just shocked that there isn't a mid-major program or somewhere that wouldn't give a guy like that a job.
1,000%. I also think like it has to be the right job for John too. And I've done that championship game too. Love it. But it has to be the right job for somebody like Becker. Right? Like what's the right job?
Well, I think that's the case for most guys. I mean, it's got to be the right job. I think that's
a fact.
I think that's what most people is the right job for. That's you can say that about 90% of the guys, but
yeah,
he deserving of a mid-major job, which is success that he's had. I mean, at Vermont, I mean, it's like, come on, what more can he do? The league is essentially running through him.
All right, Dagan, what else?
I've got one more for you guys. We talked about some of the conference tournaments, obviously throughout the show. Regular season's over, and obviously there's a lot to pick from here. Give me one conference tournament matchup you're looking forward to. If you need a bracket, I have some, so let me know.
For me, this is what T.O. said. The Wofford and Furman game tomorrow. Like I am literally I'm watching it and I'm cheering for both of them. Like I'm really the great people, great staffs. I'm just like, man, like whoever wins, I'm just gonna great job. But I'm kind of conflicted on that. But I'm looking forward to that. And the Patriot League, I'm cheering for America and they'll get it done too.
Shameless plug right here. You guys ready? First round of the Mountain West, San Diego State, Boise State play in the 4-5 game. San Diego State currently projected as a 9 or a 10 seed, depending on what bracket you look at. Boise State was basically, last four in, lose one at home to Colorado State. They need a win bad. So you have two teams that desperately need a win in a tournament setting. It is going to be a knockdown dragout. That's two really physical teams. I'm really looking forward to that matchup in the first round. And then, can Colorado State keep playing? Like a lot of people didn't think this Colorado State team was going to be any good. Kyan Evans took a giant step. Neat Clifford's a dude. By the way, if you haven't watched Neat Clifford play, he'll play in the NBA 10 years, man.
Yeah,
like
he can play.
He had 36 yesterday at Board. 2 days ago at Boise. I'm mixing my days up. Did the game up at Boise. He went nuts. He won the game. I'm not saying he won it by himself because you need 5 guys, but there were times where he would go for 12-0 runs by himself. It was insane. Like, I'm really looking for. I love that tournament. It is so much fun.
I love all the one bid tournaments. To be honest, I'm just a super fan of it. Being around the Power 4, Power 5s, and multiple teams getting in. Man, those one bid leagues are phenomenal. The atmosphere of those games. So I'm looking forward to that throughout the week. And shout out to Dwayne Simpkins, baby, American. I'm going with you guys tomorrow. Good luck.
Let's go. Hey, he's got Julian Iturbes on that team. You remember Ikir? It's Ikir's son. He's got him out there. So hey, Dagan, can you pop up the SEC tournament one last time? I forget who you're the best. Florida, Mizzou, and game round 2. God, that's worth the money. You said $800. I think I'd pay $800.
Is it? I mean, it'd be like a 195.5 total, probably.
Man,
No, that's too much.
That's too
$800
much?
for which bracket, which region? Like where?
It's March 14th. You get two games.
It would
you
have
get
to.
You get
the semis, and you said it's
you get
800?
Florida. No, it's
That's
the
the
quarters.
quarters,
You get Florida versus probably Missouri, and then you would get Alabama versus hopefully Kentucky.
Right. So 2 games.
That's actually not bad but if like God forbid if Kentucky loses to one of those teams, that's disgusting. That really is. that's disgusting. Hey man,
let's be honest, guys.
Take,
it's very possible in that league.
Totally, bro.
I would even bet that somebody on first round is going to win one of those games in the second round.
Hey, Texas.
By the way,
Texas got talent.
They do. They certainly do. Real quick before we get out of here, I mean, I feel like it was in many ways to me like the most impactful win of the day yesterday. What Arkansas did at home, holding on against Mississippi State. I mean, this is an Arkansas team that's growing up to me. Like, you know, and they had to have that win yesterday to lock up their at large. I won't say lock up, but to get as close as you can to possibly doing that. I mean, that's impressive for a team that's had the injuries and the youth that they've got. I'm not going to sit here and try to bullshit and act like this is some amazing coaching job or anything like that, but they are growing up. I don't know if you guys had thoughts on the Arkansas win last night, but I thought that was a big one that we didn't get a chance to touch on.
You know that this is how I feel about Arkansas. You know when Dave Chappelle is on stage and he goes, he didn't do it, but even if he did, you know what I mean? Like, just
tough crowd.
I think Woodson and Kyle deserve some love for they pulled them teams off the bat, man. Them teams was down, everybody counting them out, and they pulled them teams. They credit to the staff, the kids, everybody, because to come back from the dead, because I think we all buried those guys, and to see them come back and put themselves on the field, just. Credit to those guys. It makes it interesting.
Hey, look, I'm proud of Calipari for getting to 8-10 in league. Proud of him.
No, I just said it from where he was.
Tough league, man. It's a tough league.
I buried them. Like, I was like, they're done. Just to put themselves in the tournament. I didn't think
they
win 4 games.
Boogie Flan goes down.
So I didn't think they win 4. And I'm looking, and when Boogie Flan was down and what he meant to them at that point, I was like, oh man, they done. Like, forget about them, throw them out. And then the same with Indiana, man. So again, that's why. But to your point, overall, it's
I'm
like,
just giving you a hard time, man. I'm with you. I'm with you. But I would like to see Woody win the Big Ten tournament. Just completely flip and say, I ain't coming back. You can't make me.
Why stop there? Hopefully that train don't stop till San Antonio. Now that's the kind of shit I'm rooting for this year. I want Indiana.
So you want Indiana? So John Martin's Final Four: Indiana, Arkansas, Memphis, Duke,
and Clemson. Nope,
that's 5.
Clemson.
That's 5 teams.
Duke's not going. Clemson's going. Arkansas, Memphis, Indiana, and Clemson. It's going to be the greatest Final Four we've ever seen. The most beautiful Final Four we've ever seen. All right, fellas. Thanks as always for tuning in here. Sunday, March 9th edition of the show. We'll obviously be with you all week leading up to conference tournaments get underway. Selection Sunday. We're here. We're right at the precipice, fellas. Thanks for being with us tonight. For Terrence Oglesby, from Randolph, Childress, I'm John Martin. Have a great night.